back. As the Memphis Shelby County School Board plans to hire a permanent superintendent, state lawmakers are watching their every move. The district, which is the largest in the state, has been criticized for low test scores and some controversial decisions. Earlier today, I had a chance to speak with State Representative Mark White, the chairman of the House Education Committee, about a forensic audit and why he believes MSCS needs some intervention.
The forensic audit, as you know, officially began right about the 1st of last August. So we're 6 months into it. Last week, we did have a 6-month update. The $6 million forensic audit is for a year, but we had a 6-month update that they gave us last Wednesday from the comptroller's office, which was very eye-opening and revealed a lot. We had some Senate leadership in the meeting, House leadership, and they gave us an update. I guess the best thing I can say, we're about 4 weeks out where we may release the details. Well, we're not able to talk about it much right now because it's still an ongoing. But I was convinced at that meeting that we are going to need the outside intervention, which the legislation I have, which is the Board of Managers. I do not see, with some of the things they told us, a lot of accountability of record keeping, everything that can be fixed within the system. We need some outside intervention. So we're at this point in time, the legislation is setting ready for a conference committee to bring the Senate version that we passed last April and the House version together.
Mark, you used the term eye-opening. Can this be interpreted as being, this is very troubling in your estimation?
For a $2 billion, right at $2 billion, and I will call them a corporation, with 16,000 employees, yes, it's very eye-opening. It was troubling as far as the accountability of records, things dealing with contracts, things dealing with just basic record keeping, just many issues that we're going to have to deal with that you're going to have to bring in experts in the field to rectify.
As I listen to you here, a lot of our viewers, a lot of people who will be paying close attention to this might be wondering, are we talking about the current administration? Are we talking about the Fagan's administration? Are we talking about prior administrations, even to that?
Well, this particular forensic audit is for the years 2022, 2023, and 2024. So it's during those 3 years that we're looking at going into the detail on the records.
So once this is revealed, though, Mark, a lot of people will also be kind of wondering, where do we go with this information? What do you hope is done with it? And what does it say is needed, perhaps?
Well, I think the information that is in there will give us the impetus to go ahead and pass the legislation that's been before us for the past year, which is creating a 9-member board of managers that will have complete authority for 3 years over the system, where we can put in place things that can rectify this. You know, the accounting, the facilities, just you name it across the board, so that we can begin to transform the system that has right at 100,000 of our young people in the city of Memphis and Shelby County in that, so that we can begin to make sure that the proficiency continues to rise up. You know, right now we're still sitting at 1 out of 4 students that come out of the 12th grade are proficient in the basic skills of math and reading. And like I've told people before, this is no longer about the current school board. This is not about superintendents or anything. This is about making sure that the young people in the city of Memphis get the same opportunity that any other child across the state of Tennessee gets. And right now, with the way the system is operating, it's going to have to take that outside intervention.
Mark, you're going to have obviously some pushback here. Some people saying, have we given the current administration, have we given the district itself time to prove itself that it can handle and be accountable and do some of the things that you recommend?
Right. Well, from what the information I'm getting from the audit that we were shared with us, I am convinced that it cannot be fixed with an elected school board. And so therefore, you need that outside intervention. My hope would be that the elected school board, which would remain in place, but they would be under the authority of the Board of Managers, that they would work very closely with them over the next number of years to make sure that we change the things within the system that do need to be changed. The bottom line there again is for the workforce development, the future of the city of Memphis. We talk to our business community every day. We have to have young people coming out of the system. If you've got 100,000 students, as I mentioned before, in a system, that means right at 8,000 are coming out in every year in 12th grade. 8,000 students. If only 1 out of 4 of those were proficient, that means 2,000 are, 6,000 are not. That means we're losing 6,000 students a year that could go into the workforce and get better jobs for their own families to support themselves.
And Mark, what would you say, or what do you say for those who'll say, well, this is still about the way Dr. Marie Fagans was terminated or fired by the MSCS school board? Is this about that, or is this something bigger now?
It's something bigger. That did open a window for us where it got the attention of the entire community, because we've been working on this for many years. I've been in the legislature now for 17 years. I started my career out as a school teacher and a principal. I've been chairing the education committee up in the General Assembly now for the past 12 years. And my role is to make sure that we have the best educational system across our state, higher standards. But I also chair the Nation's Report Card, NAEP. And so we want to continue to increase on that, because that's very important on how well we look as far as the rest of the country, because that helps attract industry and helps attract the things that you want for a growing state.
So, Mark, right now, is it safe to say that you are still moving and others still moving full steam ahead with possible state intervention right now?
We're moving full speed ahead, and we all know within the next 3 weeks where we are.